Greetings, captains. I am Wizard, and welcome to my very first Starfield modded ship build guide. This is the Krakatoa, and it is a super destroyer rebuild of the Vulcan. This ship is 92 meters long, and it can carry 14.3 thousand cargo while maintaining 100 mobility. It has 20 total weapons installed, and to power all of these, it has a reactor that makes 60 power. How is all of this possible? Well, the main mod that I'm using for this build is the DarkStar Astrodynamics mod, which adds many ship modules to the game that were previously impossible to obtain because they didn't exist. The purpose of the DarkStar mod is to provide ship modules that scale as you jump into new NG pluses. If you didn't know, the difficulty in the game scales as you jump into new universes. So the further you go, the harder everything is for you. Now, I play on extreme difficulty, and this ship is somewhat balanced for an original universe. It is very powerful, but it does allow me to take on massive groups of enemies at once, and it doesn't make it easy mode, but it definitely gives me an advantage when I'm up against many ships when I have a bounty and I need to go somewhere. So at the end of the video, I'm going to take you through combat as I have with every other ship, and if you haven't already watched the Vulcan build guide, I would suggest you do so you have a baseline comparison for the performance of this ship. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've just started playing Starfield, you might be interested in my Outpost build guide playlist, where you can see some great suggestions for home base builds or some inspiration for a home base build. I also have a Vitinium mine build where you can learn how to make credits on demand and then expand on that to create passive income. And of course, I have my vanilla Starship archive playlist, which is full of ships that you can build with an unmodded game. These are great starting points, as I have ships starting at level 14 and going all the way through level 60. So check out that playlist for some inspiration. I also have my FPS combat progression series, Becoming a God, which is currently on episode 2. So if you're interested in seeing the progression of a character starting with 0 combat skills and ultimately ending with all of the combat skills, please check out that playlist. I will also be including New Game Plus runs in this playlist as I move through them, and very soon I'm going to be jumping into my first Unity. I hope you stick around, and thank you for watching. To build the Krakatoa, you'll need to be at level 60 or higher, and you'll need to build the Vulcan. But if you haven't done so yet, I do recommend you watch this video first to see which parts I change, and that will save you credits when you go and build this for the first time. If you've already built the Vulcan, you'll need 200,000 credits, and that's at Commerce Rank 4 and with the DarkStar VIP mode turned off. Required mods for this build are number 1, of course, DarkStar Astrodynamics. You'll also need Ship Module Snap Expansion, Ship Builder Module Limit Remover, Ship Size Limit, and No Weapon Power or Count Limits. Now, some of these mods may not be available on Xbox exactly as I have them downloaded, but there should be an equivalent. If not, please let me know in the comments so I can make that information available to everyone. It seemed fitting to me to find a new outpost location for my first modded ship build, so I found a perfect volcano top on Denobola 1B. That location is showcased in my visually stunning Moons guide for outpost base locations. But first I want to talk about what this Astrodynamics mod does. The first thing is it adds this shipbuilder pad, and what Wicked Gaming has done here is he's given us all the crafting benches as well as 2 utility boxes, which are bottomless storages. Over here on the pad are each of the 4 types of storage crates and they each hold 100,000 units of whatever you put in them. So that's fantastic as well. I also really like how he included every mission board from the in-game factions over here. And there's also a trade authority kiosk and the DarkStar mod settings terminal over there by the shipbuilder screen. Here are all the mission boards lined up here. And over to the right, he's also included kiosks for Tranquility, Terrabrew, and Chunks next to the navigation console there. Also right behind us is the Trackers Alliance Bounty Clearance Terminal. So other than, any hab modules that you want to build, this is kind of an all-in-one package. It's really awesome. On top of that, you can only get DarkStar parts from this landing pad or from one of the various vendors that he's added to the game. But let's get into this shipbuilder and start updating the Vulcan. So here's the starting ship and all of the stats that you saw from the original build guide. The only thing that I've changed so far, but I haven't ironed out, is you can see I've swapped the PBO 175s for the Exterminator 95 MEV autos. And as a part of this overhaul video, I'm going to place those weapons in a much more attractive location. So one of the best parts, in my opinion, about the way Wicked has built his mod is that he has used all of the in-game models for his parts. So he's made significant adjustments to the stats of each of the parts, but not so much that they're out of the realm of the game's difficulty. You can build something very powerful with these parts, but I wouldn't call it overpowered with this mod alone. The way he's set it up is these modules are intended to scale with you as you start jumping into New Game Plus. So this is great for all of you end game players, for those of you that have entered multiple New Game Pluses, and I foresee this mod being crucial to my enjoyment of the game when I start my first Unity run. The first module that we are upgrading, and potentially the most crucial one, is the reactor. We want to swap the stock Pinch 8Z for the DarkStar MR60C 0-point reactor. It's visually identical to the Pinch, but it has clearly superior stats. So before we delete the old reactor, we want to copy the colors. Now, I'm using on this ship primarily a very dark gray and a nearly black color. My very dark gray is 4 clicks from the left in the brightness bar, and the almost black is 1 click from the left in the brightness bar. So once you have your colors set, go ahead and apply them to your new reactor and delete the Pinch. And go ahead and replace it. Now onto the engines, I'm going to replace these 6830s with identical versions from DarkStar. Now, as I mentioned before, these parts are reasonably balanced for what is achievable in the game. They are, again, a significant upgrade, but they don't automatically make your ship overpowered. Now, I am able to drastically increase the cargo that I can carry with this ship without losing mobility. But in terms of the way the ship feels when I'm flying it, it is very similar to the original Vulcan. So what you're looking for is the DarkStar SAL M21C, and again, I want to replicate the colors from the stock engines. So I'm using the dark gray on 1 and 2, and for the orange color, in the hue bar, you want to be 6 clicks from the left. And then in the saturation, we want to be 16 clicks from the right. And in the brightness bar, you want to be 25 clicks from the far right. I was trying to come up with something that looked good with the natural bronzy tone on the Pinch reactor. So that was kind of the point there. So those colors, along with the base gray that comes in the game, that kind of looks dark when you first see it, those are really the 4 color tones that I'm using for the Vulcan and for this. So if you want to replicate those, feel free to do so. So now that we have our first engine painted, we can go ahead and duplicate it in the replacement positions. Copy the first 3 from one side and move them right over to the right. So our engines and reactors are upgraded, and now we can open up our core and get into our shield, so we can upgrade that as well. So the stock Vulcan uses the SG-1800 shield generator, and that is the highest rated shield in the vanilla game. And a big ship needs a shield like that, even though it's heavy. So just like the engines, Wicked has made his shields in intermittent levels from A, B, and C class, and he's got sections for each of the different types of models, whether they attach from the bottom or attach from the side. So I'm choosing the DarkStar MDFG-12B dispersion field generator, which is visually the same as the SG-1800, but it is the B-class DarkStar shield. So it comes with better stats, but also decreased maximum power, which is going to be crucial for powering our modded weapon loadout. So that one is a definite requirement. If you have reactors that make more power, or you can place multiples of them, go ahead and choose the C-class shield. But you'll see why I went with the B-class one for this ship when we get to the weapons. So one of the main things that I wanted to update when doing this build was to bring this ship closer to the original vision that I had for it, which was supposed to have, I should say, a much more imposing length and nose. So what I want to do here is select these pieces on the nose together and move them forward 1 unit. And now we're going to fill that gap with cargo. But before we do that, the other main thing that I decided to change was the nose landing gear. 2 reasons for that are the bugged thrust animation from the NG-20 nose lander. Should be on both sides, but currently in the game it's only on one, so I really dislike that. But I am going to choose a 320CB landing gear from Deimos because it flows perfectly with the skeg that I had on the ship originally, but it's also going to be part of the new nose feature on the ship that I think really makes it stand out and look a lot more interesting and a little more aggressive. So then I want to take one of these Deimos Hull A's and move them up here to the nose, and those snapping points are a part of the ship module snap expansion, and they're a little bit picky, but we'll see if I make use of those at some point in another build. So once you have that moved over to the nose portion of the ship just behind the HopeTech pipes, find the Deimos Hull A's in your module menu and place another one back where the original one was at. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to keep color 3 as that bronzy tone, and I just want to paint color 1 as the dark gray color. Then we're going to duplicate that one again and move it just underneath of the top front Deimos Hull A. So now that we've got those parts attached again, we are going to fill this gap with extra cargo. So I went with 4 of the Galleon S203 cargo holds. You're going to put one here, duplicate that. Once you make sure it's not snapped incorrectly, duplicate it, flip it, put one here, and then you're going to take those and do that same thing on the opposite side. You might think this is enough, but I'm also going to add 2 of the Galleon S204s right in between them on each side. So this is more than doubling the original cargo capacity of the ship, but as you can see, thanks to those engines, we're still at 100 mobility, And I actually had a version where I replaced the two Deimos Hull A's right behind the top S203s with another set of S203s to total over 15,000 cargo, and the ship was still at 100 mobility. But at that weight, it felt extremely sluggish. So now let's finish off our nose feature, and we want to attach a Stroud engine bracer B to the lower Deimos Hull A that we placed a moment ago. And then snap to the engine bracer, we want to find the Deimos Skeg B. And put that right here. And on the front of that Skeg, we want a Deimos Skeg A. This added feature to the nose of the ship really makes it feel more like the Idris from Star Citizen, which was the original inspiration for this build. I knew I wouldn't be able to really pull it off without mods, and so this is my first attempt at getting a little bit closer. So on top of the Skeg A, we want to go with a Deimos Spine C, and then snap the next Spine C onto the front of the armory on the nose of the ship. Now, with my any settings that I have, I was able to just snap that in there without doing any flip tricks. So those of you on console, you may need to find a mod that loosens the restriction on build tolerance. For me, I just did that through my Starfield any settings, and I know you can't do that on console, so that's another mod that you may have to find. Now I'm just painting these skegs. And again, I'm just using a combination of the 1-click black, the 4-click dark gray, and the base gray that comes in the color palette when you first open it. Because of the sort of dirt mud texture on the side of the Skeg A on the nose, I was going to paint all this black as well to match the rest of the nose of the ship, but it looked really bad, and there's a huge contrast between the front Skeg and the one just behind it. So I chose to just keep it as the game's base gray color, the dark gray that comes in the palette. And then I just kind of used different combinations on the spines to get them, looking like they were one big part down there instead of individuals. And then, of course, once I had these colors figured out, I quickly threw some matching tones on the Stroud engine bracer B. And I know I've made pretty clear before that I'm not a huge fan of glitches. But in the case of something like this one, it's very hard to notice right away. It's very hidden, tucked away under the ship, and this one doesn't bother me at all. And not to knock anyone that uses glitches, because I've seen some very sleek and attractive designs using flip glitches, drop-down glitches, etc. And I may be making use of all of those techniques in the future. I just personally, I don't like the look of two parts, such as those cowlings being glitched together, as you see a very sudden and what kind of looks like unintentional sort of lines in the paint. So that's just my opinion, again, not to knock anyone, but I'm going to try to avoid big visual glitches like that in my builds. Now we're going to grab some Nova radiators, give them a quick coat of the dark gray, and put 3 of them along the top of the ship just in front of the cockpit. Now normally this part would only be attachable on the top, but thanks to the ship module snap and flip expansion, I can now place some of these on the bottom of my ship. Now you can see there that the snap point maybe isn't quite aligned, but hopefully that will be updated in the future, and I didn't mind the way those look down there, even with the clipping. So I just went for it. Now, all I'm doing for the rest of the build is adding, some little details, just some little things here and there just to kind of refine the design of the ship. Since I can now exceed the module limit, and I clearly have maximum mass to spare with these engines, I thought it would be awesome to add a bunch of windows kind of wherever I could. So I'm throwing some portholes up on the top here on each side. These are on the armory and the workshop on each side of the battle stations of the ship. And then right here in the rear, behind my Stroud engine bracer Bs, I decided to tuck away 2 more portholes. So this one on the right side is attached to the captain's quarters, which is obviously a great choice. And then the one on the other side attaches to the 2x2 battle stations. These add a great touch to the feel of the inside of the ship. Now I'm going to add a couple more on the nose area, kind of right in the middle there on the side. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. What I want to do now is get our weapons set up. So the first thing that I did was pulled these 4 Vanguard Obliterators up towards the nose, because we have our new big nose battering ram feature. We'll just call it the battering ram from now on, I guess. And we're going to attach these 4 Obliterators to our battering ram. Just like that. And those are in there. And we still have 2 of those Obliterators under the ship. We're going to move those in just a minute. The next thing that I want to do, since we're still up here at the nose, is pull these Hellfires off of the Tayo side cowlings and go ahead and attach them to the Nova cowlings. Next thing that you want to do after you've deleted those Tayo side caps is duplicate those last 2 Hellfires and attach them just above. This is where our no weapon power or count limits mod comes in very handy. And again, if that exact mod isn't available on Xbox, there should be an equivalent, and if not, please let me know so I can make that information very clear to the rest of my viewers. I really appreciate that, as I do not have an Xbox to check the availability of mods. So then, once we have our Hellfires taken care of, we want to move the Exterminators into these positions and duplicate one of them to total 4 Exterminator 95 MEV autos. Next, you want to select the Vanguard Obliterators that were mounted to the bottom Nova wings and move them up. And they are going to be attached next to the Obliterators. And same thing as the Hellfires, once we have these positioned, we're going to duplicate each one and attach them just above of where these are going here. So what we're going to have total now is 8 Vanguard Hellfire autocannons, 8 Vanguard Obliterator auto projectors, and 4 Exterminator 95 MEV auto helium beams. This might sound insane to you guys, and you might be thinking that this has to be very overpowered. But you will see in the extensive combat footage that I have included for your entertainment that while this ship is quite powerful, it is still not very fast, although it is faster than it was. And it is very easy to get overwhelmed if you're not careful with power and boost management. So this ship doesn't give me a sudden trump card out there when I'm in the middle of ship battles, but it gives me an edge, and I like that, especially when I'm flying such a huge ship. It feels good. It feels right. So one of the last things that I want to do here is make use of the comm spike, scan jammer, and conduction grid modules that Wicked has included in the DarkStar mod. So I'm going to use his XEQ scan jammer and place it opposite of the in-game stock scan jammer. Then I'm going to take the base game vanilla conduction grid and move it to where the Vanguard Obliterator was mounted before. So then I'm going to find the DarkStar version of the conduction grid. It's also the XEQ level conduction grid, and put it just opposite of the vanilla game version of the module. And then of course I need the comm spike, and I want to use the same 3D model as the vanilla one so I know which one it is. And I'm going to place it on the opposite side of the vanilla comm spike as well. So that's the ship. Now we're going to walk through the interior here after we give this thing a new name. And I didn't want to call this the Vulcan 2 because it's too different. You know, it's a different version of the ship. And it is similar, but I've made so many big changes to it. And it's modded, and I really wanted it to stand out. Maybe I'll consider this a Vulcan class super destroyer. We'll see. I haven't decided on the specific title for it yet. So let's run in here. And you saw that I didn't make any changes to the HABs, but unfortunately, whether it's because of one of the latest patches, as soon as I started changing anything with the ship, one of my hatches went away. You can see on the left side there's a bank of fridges here, and if you remember from the original Vulcan build, there was a hatch here. So I had to fix this, and in order to fix it, I had to get rid of the cross passage that I had originally built with the Vulcan. I thought that was a really cool feature where you could just walk seamlessly from one of the 3x1 living quarters to the other, but unfortunately it was removing that hatch no matter what I did. So I had to come up with an alternative solution, and I kind of like what I came up with. It effectively acts as a second core window, and it's really sensible in my opinion because the whole nose of the ship, as you remember, is engineering HABs and a computer core and an armory. So it's already very utilitarian feeling up there. There's a lot of equipment. You actually have 2 engineering bays total up in the front of the ship. And so having windows looking into the core from your engineering bays just makes sense in terms of role-playing logic. So instead of leaving those conduction grids on the bottom of the ship, I decided I would tuck them away as they look like something that handles some sort of electricity, and in the game that is their function. And I think that is appropriate for the way that they look. So once I placed a couple of Deimos wing E's, I moved both of the conduction grids up and placed them inside of that new core area that the engineering HABs are going to be able to see. One on each side. And since I have the SG-1800 shield model in the original core window, there's nowhere to put things like this inside of that one. So this was kind of a win-win for me, even though I sacrificed the pretty cool cross passage between living quarters. But hey, we all have to make sacrifices, right? So with that placed, I'm going to move these HABs back where they go. And then after I walked through the ship again, I realized that I had more opportunities to place windows. I definitely want to put one right here and give it a quick coat of the dark gray after I duplicate it from a different part. But what I tried to do with these window placements was make them somewhat shielded from, direct impact, basically. And there's no reason for this functionally in the game. You could cover your ship with windows and it would be just as tough as it is without. But just for feeling like this is an armored military grade kind of devastating craft that it's supposed to be, I just wanted them to feel tucked away and kind of protected by some other solid part. Other than that porthole up there, of course, it's very exposed. So I actually went ahead and duplicated that porthole and put one right there underneath of the conduction grids. And then I placed an extra core window for the original core of the ship for extra viewing. And I would have put one on the opposite side as well, but that would have removed the bathroom in the living quarters on the port side of the ship there. So you could flip those around and put a core window on both sides and you wouldn't be losing any bathrooms, just so you guys know. So that is the Krakatoa completed. I love this ship. I can't wait for you guys to try this thing out. I know it requires some mods and I hope they're all available on Xbox. But before we take a tour of the interior and then go get into some ship combat, here are a look at the final statistics before I actually get in the pilot's seat. I will review them again once I have the ship out in space. If you've already built the Vulcan, you will be very familiar with the interior of the ship, as I have made 0 changes to the layout. The only thing that I have done is eliminated the cross passage that was there before. So just like the original, we enter into the Deimos 3x2 cargo hull, and just off of the landing bay hatch is the brig, which has 2 cells, a supervisor's desk, and a small security office. Then moving towards the nose of the ship through the Deimos Engineering Bay B, we have a Nova Infirmary on the right side. And just ahead of that, on the left side, we've got a Nova Science Lab. Now, right above us there is the new porthole overlooking the secondary core area of the ship. And here is the crew's armory. And just to give you a quick look through here, just to show you that you can see the armillary inside of your grav drive. Right there. Kind of tough to see from here, but you can see the rings moving in there. It's a little more visible from the other angles, so we're going to go check those out too. So just above the armory is the Deimos 2x1 computer core. I really like this HAB module unit a lot, the way it's laid out on the inside. And here's our main secondary core window, looking at both of the conduction grids. One which is vanilla and one from the DarkStar Astrodynamics mod. Now here was our nose porthole on the front of the Deimos Engineering Bay A. And here is the floor porthole that I added off camera, looking down into that secondary core area. And now we can run all the way to the rear of the ship to the primary ladder, through the cargo hull and up the ladder in the 1x1 attached to it. Now we move up into a Nova 1x1. If I remember correctly, this was a storeroom. And moving forward in the ship, we see our original core window, and we have both hatches on each side of the core window like we did before. Again, we just don't have that cross passage, but I think the result is just fine, and the things that I added make up for the lack of that cross hab. There was a look at the armillary in the grav drive again, and it's just a really cool feature. I'm really thankful for my viewers who made me aware that that was possible, or that's how the game functions. So here's one of the portholes on the starboard side of the ship, and you can see the bathroom in this 3x1. Now moving back to the rear starboard side of the ship, we have the 2x2 Nova living quarters, which, as you know, is the one with the pool table. Great little feature, and something that I like to include on all of my larger ship builds. Now we can run to the port side of the ship through the Nova Galactic 3x2 mess hall, and we can check out the Deimos 3x1 all-in-one berth on the opposite side of the living quarters that we looked at before. And check out that window that we added. And then we can head back to the rear port side of the ship, and this is the Deimos 2x2 living quarters module. I just love building ships with these big open habs. Makes them feel way more spacious and welcoming. Now moving up to the next deck, we have command and captain's quarters. We come into the 2x2 Deimos battle stations. And on the port side of the battle stations is the workshop. Meant for the captain primarily, but still accessible by the crew. And there's that porthole that we added to the top of this hab module. And I really like those portholes on the rear of those habs as well, especially in here in the captain's quarters. It really makes it feel a little more like upscale, having a view like that out of the back of the ship. And then of course the captain's personal armory connected to the captain's quarters, with the new porthole for that module. So there is the Krakatoa. As I mentioned, I didn't change anything about the habs, so you'll need to follow the Vulcan build guide if you want to recreate this ship. And I mentioned in that video that there's no specific ship you have to start with to build it, but I had found a trader, Highlander 3, during my playthrough and really wanted to build something very impressive to replace that ship, which is one of the rarer ship spawns in the game. So I'm going to just briefly have a look around the bridge in case you haven't seen the Deimos Ares bridge yet. It is very spacious as well and perfectly suits a ship of this size. Now, my armillary is completed, so I need to make sure to remove that, so if I make any grav jumps, I don't accidentally enter the Unity before I'm ready. So now it is time to test this ship out, and I'm very excited for you guys to see how it performs. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.